For me, as your Apostolic Nuncio, it gives me so much joy to be celebrating this beautiful feast of Our Lady of Fatima with all of you gathered around Ephesus house, the house of Our Lady, which has been so beautifully reconstructed and replicated here, the house which all of us know exists in Ephesus, which is in Turkey, but this house where Mary's life on this earth finished and from which she was assumed body and soul into heaven on August 15th. And so I want to first of all thank all of you for inviting me to be with you today, because as you heard, today is the anniversary of my ordination to the priesthood 37 years ago in St. Patrick's Cathedral on May 13th of 1989. But I want to actually thank and congratulate all the generous and extremely generous benefactors who have made this house of Mary, this Ephesus house, possible here. If it wasn't for you and your generosity, this beautiful shrine of Our Lady would not exist. And when we're here, we feel so profoundly, so intimately, the presence of the Mother of God, the presence of Mama Mary. And when we think about Mary and we think about Fatima, we think about the words of Jesus in the Gospel where he says to the Father, "I give thanks to you, Father, because you have hidden from the wise and the learned and revealed things to little children." So Jesus rejoices that God has hidden things from the wise and the learned and revealed them to little children. And this is a reminder for us to embrace simplicity in our faith. When we go to Fatima, think about Fatima, we see Our Lady visiting the three children, the oldest of whom was 10 years old. The others were 7 and 9. Little children. So first of all, we see the importance of children, the importance of simplicity, the closeness of Mary to those who are simple, those who are humble, those who are innocent. We also see how Mary prefers, in a certain sense, the periphery. What does that mean? The outlying places, the far-flung places. Mary, of course, herself was not from the capital. She was not from Jerusalem. She was from Nazareth, in the province. And here, in Cavite and Alfonso and Cavite, we are kind of in the periphery, a place that's beloved of Our Lady. When she visits us in her different apparitions, she oftentimes goes to very out-of-the-way places, like Lourdes. Lourdes is certainly not Paris. It's a long way from Paris. It's in the mountains. Now it's not so difficult to get to because so many pilgrims go there and they've made it easier to get to, but years ago it was very, very difficult. Fatima is not Lisbon. It's in the province, it's in the peripheries. And people are also traveling, of course, as we know, to Medjugorje to pray to Our Lady. Medjugorje is also kind of an out-of-the-way place. So it tells us something about Mary. She's from Nazareth, but she's looking to the peripheries, looking to the places that are not noticed, perhaps, by the world, but are precious in her eyes. So we see the importance of simplicity and the importance of the periphery, something that Pope Francis reminded us a lot about. Let's think about that day in May of 1917, there in Fatima. The three shepherd children were there, and Our Lady appeared to them. What was happening in 1917? There was a massive, as all of us know, a massive war ongoing in Europe, which had begun in 1914. Millions of soldiers were dying in the trenches of World War I. It was an absolute massacre. It was a war in which the front, that means the place where the two armies meet, didn't move too much in the years of the war. They just blasted each other and poisoned each other with poison gas and machine gun one another for years. An incredible bloodletting. In fact, my grandmother was an American Army nurse in that war, bringing wounded soldiers from the trenches back to Paris in a hospital train. It was a horrific war, a terrible moment. And it was in that context that Our Lady appeared to the three children. She was, of course, appearing in Portugal, which is the far western part of Europe. On the far eastern part of Europe, in Russia, the Tsar Nicholas, had advocated a few months earlier, in March of 1917, and Russia was in chaos. And of course, Our Lady then appears to the three children and tells them many things, but one of the things she told them is to pray for the conversion of Russia, so that Russia would not spread errors throughout the world. And of course, the principal error that was later spread out from different communist countries was the error and the deception of atheism, which then kind of infected all of Europe as a result. But Our Lady, as a loving mother, as a beautiful maternal figure who's so close to us, was warning us and calling us to alertness, to attention in the sight or in the face of these dangers, the danger of war, the danger of atheism. She was calling us. And what was she calling us to do? All of you know what she was calling us to do. Pray the rosary. Pray the rosary. It sounds very simple. Pray the rosary. But as Father said earlier, Father Dennis, the rosary and the power of Mary is more powerful than anything, because Mary is the Mother of God. Mary is our Queen in heaven watching over us. When we pray the rosary with simplicity, with devotion, things happen that we cannot even imagine. We need to be consistent in our prayer. Mary consistently says at Fatima, pray the rosary. And I know in my own story, which kind of culminated in my ordination in May of 1989, if it wasn't for the rosary, I would not have made it to my ordination day. It was really Our Lady and the rosary that brought me to my ordination day on May 13th, 1989. But this day is not only important back in 1917, but it's also important in 1981. And all of you know what I'm referring to. What happened in 1981 on May 13th, on this very day? Pope John Paul II, now Saint Pope John Paul II, was in St. Peter's Square and was shot by an assassin. And he later said that he felt Our Lady's presence protecting him and diverting the bullets and allowing him to survive that assassination attempt. So it was an incredible moment in the history of the Church. And of course, that moment in some ways was prophesied by Our Lady in the third secret of Fatima, which was later released in the year 2000 by the Holy See, actually by the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, where I worked for 17 years. That secret which saw a pope being shot and falling to the ground, that secret which predicted back in 1917 all the horrors of the persecution of the Church in the 20th century. So in the face of our current difficulties in the world, loss of faith and atheism, which continues to spread, especially unfortunately among young people, we need to have the simplicity of the children of Fatima, and pray the rosary, draw close to Mary, and remember that with her, because she heard those words, with God all things are possible. She heard those words, and she kind of repeats those words to us. With God, all things are possible. So we stay close to Our Lady, close to Jesus, then doors open in our lives that we never would have imagined before. Things happen that we could not have seen or foreseen before they happened. So Mary is there directing, guiding. She's a presence oftentimes in the background, like many mothers, kind of directing, organizing, preparing, not pushing herself forward, but always there as a maternal and beautiful presence. And we feel her presence so profoundly here at Ephesus House, especially this morning on her feast day of Our Lady of Fatima. So I want to say to all of you, thank you for being here this morning. Let's continue to pray for peace in the world. Let's continue to be faithful to praying our daily rosary. And let's also remember to pray for Pope Leo XIV, who's representative here in the Philippines. I am. He's asking us always to pray for him. He has a lot of concerns and needs, things that he knows that the world is going through, and he's asking for us to pray. So today is a beautiful feast day. Thanks be to God. Thanks to Our Lady of Fatima. May God bless each and every one of you.